welcome once again to another episode of Mind of Mateo. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm going to go ahead and jump right into things. I want to talk about time. My son was born about a month ago, and from it, my perception of time has changed. And how I view my time and how I view my time management in the past has just, it's been completely blown up. I don't know how else to refer to it. But what do I mean by this? I was busy before and I was doing a lot of different things before. But once my son came into my life, it's like I just realized that there was so much time that I still had available. I wasn't operating at the full capacity that I could have been operating at. There was so much, I was so sloppy with the leftover time that I had available. I do a lot of work, I do a lot of different things, but there was just so much time that I had freed up. And when he came into my life, he took up all that time. And rightly so. I mean, he's a newborn baby. But the one thing that I realized is, man, Mateo, you had so much more time available to you this whole time, this 9 months up into it, and probably even before that, most definitely even before that. You had all this time that you weren't really aware of available. And it may have just been an hour here, an hour there, an hour here, an hour there, but it adds up over a prolonged period of time. And so I started thinking about any time I ever said, I just don't have enough time in the day. Oh, man, I wish I could do this. Oh, Mateo, can you do this thing? Could you help me with, man, I just don't have enough time. I can't figure it out. And I realized how much crap that is, that saying, there's not enough time, not enough time. And I wanted to delve into that just a little bit. And hopefully, my experience as I share it with you, what I've realized, it helps you. It helps you in your day-to-day, and it helps bring you clarity into something. Once again, this is just my opinion. This is something that I've noticed in my life. So it may be applicable to you. It may not. I don't know. If it's not, I'm sorry. This ain't the episode for you. Go check out one of my other episodes. I'm pretty sure you'll find something that can help you. But I noticed that we catch ourselves saying this subconsciously a lot, and even out loud. Is it's just there's just not enough time in the day. Oh man, I wish I had more time. I wish. And the truth of the matter is, I don't believe all of us are operating using 100% of our time efficiently either. And what do I mean by that? Have you ever noticed when something unexpected happens? Let's say, you got your normal 9 to 5, or your business owner, you got your normal 12, 13-hour day, or whatever it might be, right? Something happens. Your kid gets sick, God forbid, or something breaks, right? Or your dog, or your dog rips up the whole house. Like, I have 2 Boston Terriers. The youngest one, Denali, she's a few months now. She loves to tear everything up. And then when I'm cleaning that up, she goes back and tears something else up. So before you know it, 45 minutes, hour goes by. That's an hour I just didn't plan for, and it's lost. But the one thing, if you ever notice, don't you still most of the time get everything done? Even if there's something that pops up and it's emergency, don't you usually get most of your week done? Somehow we always seem to squeeze out an extra hour, 2 or 3 hours when something comes up. And it goes into what I'm about to say next. How does this happen? Because your time and the scheduling that you do are flexible. What do I mean by that? One, your schedule, you're not operating at 100% capacity. You always subconsciously leave some wiggle room. It's just how we do it. I think maybe it's just how we were brought up. At least for me, I know I'm not. A busy week for me, I'm probably operating at 85%, maybe 90% capacity. There's always some wiggle room for me to kind of flex things around, right? But you got to think about that for a second. So if we're only operating at a certain percentage of capacity, let's say the average is about 70 or 80%, right? 70 or 80% of the time we're allotting. I really think it's probably a lot less than that. I think most people on average are probably allotting 60% of their schedule to the things that matter to them, right? But you have 10, 20, 30, 40% of your week that you have scheduled or not scheduled available to you. That's 30 or 40% of your week that if you're not efficiently utilizing, you're losing it. You're losing that time. It's not working in your favor. It's not something that's building upon momentum. And so you can flex that. You can look at, and I'm going to give you some steps on how to fix that. You don't have to be operating at 100% all the time, but inching closer to being more efficient with your time. The other thing I've noticed is the value of your time and how much you can do, your capacity, right? Even if you say you're operating at like 90% capacity, or even let's say 100%, everything's allotted out. You say, Mateo, man, I got my schedule. It's set up. Every single hour of every day is filled. I am optimized. Well, cool. But the capacity that you can handle something grows the more that you push yourself. I've learned this through my son. My son has pushed me. I don't need to sleep many hours. I can get away with 5, 6, 7 hours of sleep. Really, 5 or 6 is usually what I do. I toss and turn. I don't really get great deep sleep. It just is what it is, right? But I like to get them straight, right? Got to give me 5 or 6 hours straight. With my son, if you don't know, if you've never had a child, they like to wake up every 2 or 3 hours. Well, my son is already cluster feeding, which means he wakes up every hour, hour and a half sometimes. Not only that, but in between those hour and a halves, the boy poops like nobody's business. I have not seen a baby, and I've taken care of some of my baby cousins before and changed diapers and all that kind of stuff. This little young man is pooping like crazy. So you're feeding every hour and a half. Now, albeit my wife is doing breastfeeding, she's nursing and all that kind of stuff. So she handles the brunt of it. I still get a bottle in at least a night to give her a solid, if I can get her a 3-hour shift, if he's not cluster feeding, then she gets to sleep. But I'm telling you right now, he's crying. He's pooping. There are things going on. My wife is yelling sometimes because he likes to pee out of nowhere when you take the diaper off. And it's not relaxing sleep. He's pushed my capacity to handle lack of sleep more. The beginning of the month when we first, he came into our lives, I was a zombie. I was a wreck. I don't know how the heck people do this, right? 2 or 3 weeks into it, going on to this month, it still sucks, but I can handle a lot more than I did coming up to it. My time has become more efficient. My capacity has grown. So the amount of work I was doing before in the allotted amount of time, so, let's say I was scheduling 80%, 90%, 100% of my time. Now it's almost like I can do an extra 10% just from pushing my capacity and pushing how much I can do in a set amount of time, right? Being able to be more efficient in the way that I do things, not trying to do a million things at once, knocking one thing out at a time, most important things in my day, and getting that pushed out. But it goes to show you there is room for improvement. There is room for improvement. You would think I have an accent. I'm sorry about that. There is room for improvement. And I want to say this. I honestly believe you should never hear the words "there's not enough time" come out of anyone's mouth. The only time that I have found that I have said, and looking back on it, reflecting, this is a point of transparency. The only time I have seen myself say there's not enough time is when I'm dropping the ball on something, when I haven't scheduled something properly, when I've double booked myself, when I've done things and it's human error, right? That's the only time that I've seen myself say, man, there's not enough time. So really, it's a cop-out, okay? Let me talk about some of the mistakes people make. And when I say people, I'm talking about this guy right here. Some of the mistakes are you don't plan your schedule ahead of time. If you don't plan, you will leak time. It will be time that is wasted. There will be time for scrolling Instagram. There will be time where it's just a lot of different things going on. Let me tell you, there will be time where you're supposed to go to the restroom and take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and you would turn into a half hour restroom break. Look, if your legs are falling asleep while you're in the restroom, it's not good. You're wasting time. Okay? So look, if it is what it is. I'm just gonna tell it like it is. Number 2, you don't audit your time. What does that mean? That means, okay, let's say you've got everything planned out. You're going through, you're scheduling your time. If you don't take time to actually look back at your prior week or your prior 2 weeks or however you want to do it and see how your schedule was, you have the potential for leaking time. What do I mean by that? Let's say this week just passed and I double booked myself or I didn't allot enough time. If I said, I had 3 sales meetings and, I put them right after each other with a 5-minute break in between. And I noticed that in every single meeting, I went over by 15 or 20 minutes. Well, if you audit your time, you can adjust your schedule to make sure that you are handling everything and giving everything enough time. You're not driving yourself crazy and trying to run in from one meeting to another meeting to another meeting, right? But it takes you taking a second, auditing your time. And I'm going to go through how to fix that in a little bit. And the last but not least is you don't spend enough time doing the tasks that really matter. You're spending way too much time on busy work. Why is that important? Because if you spend most of your time on busy work and not handling the things that really matter to your business or to your job or to whatever XYZ, whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, relationship, fitness goal, whatever, you are going to notice how your time feels a lot crunched when you go to do those important things, because those important things usually take more time than you actually allot to them. Does that make sense? I think it does. How do we fix this, Mateo, you say? Well, it's kind of simple, right? So if the first one is that they don't plan their schedule ahead of time, well, then you want to plan your schedule ahead of time. Pick a day. For me, I like Sundays. Sundays is usually the day that I get to go and reset. Look forward to your week. Plan out your week as much as you can. You'll start to see where you get blocks, you get gaps. You can fill things up with that. Look at what you need to accomplish that week. You can think ahead of things. You're not going to account for everything, but you're going to get the bulk of it. Plan ahead of your time, schedule it. It's going to help you out in the long run. It's a lot easier to look at your schedule the beginning of the day or the night before and say, oh, okay, I've got all these things I got to do. They're already planned out. The meeting's already scheduled. The invites are already out, all that kind of good stuff. And you're just going through the motions. And now instead of having to worry about creating this event, creating that event, putting this on the calendar, putting this on the agenda, all that, you're just looking at it and you can spend the rest of that mental resource doing things that matter, right? Number 2. Here we go. I told you it was easy. What was the second mistake? Don't audit the people that don't audit their time regularly. Number 2, while you're scheduling your week on a Sunday or whatever day you pick, take that time, take a few minutes to audit the week before. That's going to help you schedule your week right then and there, right? So you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. It's a double-edged sword right there. You're scheduling your week and you're auditing. You're taking them both out at the same time. It's going to help you out a lot, right? And then the third thing, the people don't spend enough time. We said the third mistake was people don't spend enough time doing the tasks that really matter. They spend too much time on busy work. Well, guess what? Here we go. While you're planning, while you're auditing, make sure that you are now looking at how much time you're going to need to adequately do the things that matter. So like I said, if you filled your whole day up with meetings and then you had to really work, the big thing you need to do is a deliverable for like a project. Maybe you're trying to launch a product and you have to work through whatever it might be, call the vendor, do whatever, but it's going to hold up the productivity. Well, guess what? Don't schedule 3, sales calls that day or whatever, or conference calls or whatever it may be. See if there's another block, another day that you can move that to, and then you just freed up that hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it might be, and you got that time now to handle that very important task, right? So what are the 3 problems? Let's go over it real quick. People don't plan their schedule ahead of time. They don't audit their time regularly, and they don't spend enough time doing the tasks that really matter, and they do too much busy work. How do you fix it? 1, plan your schedule ahead of time. Pick a day, just sit down, do it. It sucks. Everyone don't like it at first, but it helps you. Number 2, guess what? You're taking the time to plan your schedule. Take a few seconds, audit your week before, look at your schedule, and look at what worked, what didn't work. And then number 3, plan time for the things that matter. And that's it. You'll be able to handle it. So that hopefully will help. I know I was talking a lot. I was talking pretty fast. But if you need to, go back and listen to the episode. I love y'all. I hope you have a good one. And until the next time, have a good one. Talk to you later.